Welcome to Between Both Cheeks, the podcast where we talk business, beauty, and butts. We'll be stripping down the aesthetics industry, whether you're here for spicy beauty tips, savvy business advice, or just a little banter. We've got you covered from front to back. So pull up a cheek and get ready to discover what happens between both cheeks.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Between Both Cheeks podcast. As you guys may know, hopefully know, we partnered with Waxing the City, which is a waxing franchise chain in the U.S. Earlier this year in February 2024. And we recently went to their annual conference in September, where we met today's special guest, Anna Hines, who opened the very first Waxing the City in Illinois. She's been with the company for over 10 years. She owns multiple studios, and she's going to talk to us today about what the experience is like franchising versus owning an individual private business, and her experience with Waxing the City and bringing Bryght into her studios. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me. Before we start, though, can I fangirl over Luba for just a second?
Yeah.
Please. As Luba's shaking her head, no, please no. I had the pleasure of meeting Luba, like you said, at this annual conference. And this was pretty well into the evening. And I just walked up to the bar area and she was there. And I just felt very drawn to say hello to her. And as I did, she gave me just a brief, like, hey, I'm with Bryght, very humble and sweet. And I'm already obsessed with the brand. So as soon as I heard it, I was like, tell me more. Who are you? And then I come to find out she's the GOAT. So, of course, I started fangirling in that moment and told her how awesome it was. And then she gave me a little bit about her journey and how this all came to be. And I was floored. Massive kudos to you, Luba. I'm even more excited as a business owner to carry a brand that was created by someone like you. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you should wake up every morning in the mirror and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, I'm friggin' Luba.
I love that. And I remember what you said to me if I picked the brand color because of the color of my eyes. And I said no.
Yes.
And you said it came from the soul, right? Is that exactly what you said?
100%.
I love
and
that.
I'm going to add a little bit more fangirl to it is I don't know if the word Bryght was created just because of simply what it does or to like match your actual aura.
Thank you.
So take that one too. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you
Luba's
so much.
like, no, don't.
Tell me more. So yeah, I've been with Waxing the City for over 10 years. It's my passion. I love talking about Waxing the City, what it offers. I found my way to Waxing the City because I was a very loyal client to a competitor for many, many years. And I remember very specifically 6 weeks postpartum, I had a C-section. So I was very uncomfortable in my own skin. And I went in for a wax and I kind of had to just like get undressed in front of the esthetician, jump up on the table. And I was finding every which way to cover my its and bits. And I still wasn't feeling comfortable, but I did it. I got through it. I did the wax and I thought, God, it's pretty awesome that there's a place that does just waxing, but there's got to be something that is more relatable and makes that everyday person feel like I don't have to like kind of cover myself. It's okay to be who I am right now. Even I remember specifically the imagery on the walls were very, supermodel like and very sexual and things that I just was not feeling 6 weeks postpartum. So it was that day that I went home and I was like, I'm going to look into this and see if there's any other competition out there. Now, mind you, at this time, I was working a very lucrative career on Wall Street for 15 plus years. Yeah, so very male dominant industry. I had, earned my badge of honor. I had gotten that tough skin and all the things. But I was like, if I work this hard for somebody else, I know I can do it better for myself. And Luba, I've done my homework on you, so I know some of these things are going to resonate with you as far as leaving corporate America to do your own thing. So that's when I found Waxing the City. And I was like, wow, even the color scheme, everything just seems wholesome, inviting, more relatable. And I'm not joking, from that moment forward, 2 weeks later, I flew out to Denver, Colorado. and decided that I think I want to be a part of this thing. I want to leave Wall Street. I want to leave my current. I'm going to open up waxing studios. So I had the privilege of meeting all four founders, Summer, Alex, Marilyn, Robin, and I was floored with that. I was like, when do you walk into a big company and get to meet the owner? You know, the founders. You don't hear the story from the horse's mouth. You kind of get it from somebody else. They sat with me, they told me their story, and I honestly feel like I was falling in love. And it boiled down to the final piece of the puzzle for me. I was like, this all sounds great, me listening to it, but what is a wax experience like? And Alex, one of the founders, I said, if you can give me a Brazilian wax, I think that's going to be my selling point because that's my number one service for myself, right? That's what makes me feel like every time I get waxed, I walk out with my Brazilian model accent, like, I can conquer the world now. So she's like, absolutely, no hesitation. Took me in there, and here was the game changer. She left the room. She left the room. She left me with a lap cloth and a sanitizing wipe. And I was like, this is wild. Like, they actually took the time to think about what will make the client feel comfortable in this very vulnerable situation. So, of course, she did my Brazilian wax. And I think I love the fact that I'm probably one of the few franchisees that can say that Alex has waxed my vagina. I love that for myself.
Love that for you too. That's very bold and brazen, and I love everything. I love you even more.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yes, so that was my story. And I said once that wax was done, I walked out of the room and there was probably 10 other potential franchisees waiting to see how my service was. And I walked out, arms up in the air, and I said, "Where's the pen? I'm signing today." So that's how I started my journey. And why do I love waxing so much? I have darker skin. I get hyperpigmentation. I get ingrowns. I have very thick hair. It's great when you have it on your head, but not when it's on your body, right? But waxing was the only thing from age 11 that worked for me like a charm. And I grew up believing that that's what gave me the confidence to always feel my best. And I wanted to share that with the world when I found the right brand that represented how I actually felt. So that's what brought me into waxing the city. Fast forward, we all went through the pandemic and all that fun stuff, right? I did decide to sell my studio, not because of the pandemic, but because I had gone through a divorce. And my ex-husband, who is also a divorce attorney, plot twist, was my business partner. Now, by no means did he win in the battle, but I was at a stage in life where I was like, I'm not going to fight over anything. I know who I am as a person, and I promise you, I can give it all away today, and I will come back tomorrow even stronger. And so I handed it to him. So when I say that studio is 2 miles from my house, it is run by my ex-husband, who is also the father of one of my daughters. And the fact that it's thriving and doing so well, I know that that's my daughter's future, and it gives me so much pride to see it there that I opened that studio. COVID happened. Now, mind you, by the way, I love conference so much because at one of the conferences, I met my current husband and my final husband. He happens to be a franchisee for Anytime Fitness, Base Camp Fitness. So these are all, part of the Purpose Brands family. So we're very, very close. And he happens to be like the golden child. So it was really cute. When we started dating, everyone's like, "You're dating Bobby Hines?" And our story is actually kind of cute. So I have to share it for a moment. I was at a conference in Lake Placid, New York. I was newly divorced, feeling like the heartbreak of I'm going to give up my studio, like my baby, I'm going to give it up. And he was very sad story, but he was newly widowed. He had lost his really young 39-year-old wife to cancer. So he was widowed with 3 little children, and his family kind of was like, "You got to go. You have to go do what you're passionate about. Be there for work." So the very last day of conference, I was talking to Chuck Runyon, and Bobby comes walking up, and it was like, I'm telling you, if love at first sight exists, it happened to me. So in that moment, even Chuck, when he describes the story now, which by the way, he's the founder of everything, as you guys know, he's kind of like the Great Wizard of Oz, actually. So he tells the story to this day. He's like, "I kind of took a step back because I felt this electric energy between the two of you." And it basically, long story short, it started downpouring rain. So Bobby carried me down this hill in the rain. And that's how we met. So from that day forward, that was it. Newly divorced single mom. He was newly, widowed. A year later, we got married. He had 3 children from his first marriage. So now we've got 4 kids. And then surprise, we had one of our own. So we're a blended family of 5 kids. So yeah.
Keeps busy.
It keeps us busy. But here we are. Fast forward a little bit more. I knew, like I said, I felt it in my soul. I was going to come back to Waxing the City because I have yet to find something that speaks to me on that level just because of my personal love for the brand. And last December, the opportunity came about with an existing studio that I actually helped that owner open up her location. And she's like, hey, I'm ready to retire. I have grandbabies now. Do you know anyone that would want to buy my studio? And I raised my hand. I was like, that would be me. So I acquired that location. We've been doing phenomenal since then. So Bobby's from Louisiana, same situation with another couple out there that had 2 locations, and we bought their locations too. So I am back in the game, and I really do feel like I'm back. Like this is my time for it. So that's my story with Waxing the City.
That's amazing. I love the story about how you met your husband. That's really beautiful. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty much a Hallmark movie at this point.
Yeah,
I was going to
legit,
say that
for
sounds
sure.
like a movie. He carried you down the hill in
Yes.
the rain so you didn't
He
have to
did.
ruin your shoes.
Romance is
I
not
love it.
dead.
It was, the funny
And
thing about that,
I saw him carry you at Electrify too.
he carries me a lot when my feet get swollen. That's the problem. I can't get my heels back on, and then he tends to carry me. So that's how it all started.
Anna, are you an esthetician?
So I am not.
Okay, so talk about that because
Surprisingly.
you and I are similar in that too. Everyone just assumes if you own
Yeah.
waxing salons. So talk about the challenges of that and then the pluses of that.
Yeah, the challenges are, okay, as a small business owner, when you rely on your service providers, if somebody calls in sick or someone just hates your guts that day and they didn't show up, how do you fill that spot, right? If you're an esthetician, you can plug yourself right in. But when you're not in that role, you just need to be armed all the time to know, like, hey, if this situation occurs, do I sit there and sulk over it? Or do I just take this as it's part of a journey? It's okay if there was a loss today, but I'm going to make up for it tomorrow. So I think that's how I kind of process it. Like these things will come up, but it's just the pieces I have in place. And you know what really helps is having managers that are estheticians. So that's been game changer for me.
And
But people do assume that I'm an esthetician. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, would you wax me?"
I
I'm
get
like,
that all
I
the
mean, not
time.
legally, but sure I can. I know
Yeah.
enough about it.
Give it a
Yeah,
try.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you went right into a franchise, right? You went right into Waxing the City. You didn't do a solo on your own. Why did you choose to go into a franchise right away?
I think it was the concept of I wasn't looking to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. Once I researched the brand and just felt a connection to it, I just trusted the process. And then, it really did help for Waxing the City that they were backed by Anytime Fitness, which is the world's biggest fitness franchise. So I'm like, okay, they've worked out the kinks, they've got research behind it. One thing I always think for anyone that goes into franchising, you need to trust their process. If you don't, you 100% need to do it for yourself. So I made that decision that I trust their process. I know they've got it figured out. And I just wanted turnkey because I wanted to spend my time not in the beginning phases of figuring it out for myself, because Wall Street is obviously very different than waxing. I wanted to leverage what they had already figured out but use my skill sets from my previous career and plug and play.
That is so beautifully said because I come across so many people that want to have their own business. And when you have your own business with no structure or no support and you're new to the industry, the amount of time that you spend developing protocol versus what you can put your energy in if it's already there and you've got kind of the backbone of it.
And you know what? Waxing the City's support is phenomenal.
So good
Amazing.
to hear.
Yeah.
Well,
So I
we
kind of
have
want
the
to
most.
ask a question based off that. Sorry, Luba. So you said, you went into this 10 years ago, and then, with all of your life changes, you had to make changes too. But you came back to Waxing the City, and it sounds like you were pretty excited both times. So is there a difference between now and 10 years ago with Wax in the City? And what do you think it is that Wax in the City has that continues to drive their success? Because I think this year alone, I think when I first started meeting last year with some of the corporate staff and just talking about Bryght, there was maybe 150, and now there's like 175. And then in Electrify alone, I met so many people who are like, I'm signed on for 3. I have 1 opening in 2 weeks, like a ton of people. So is it the same? And like, what's the secret ingredient?
I think that's the most fabulous thing is that I was able to be a part of it when it was so new. I was very early on. I think when I went to my first conference, there was only 9 of us franchisees. To see the evolution and to see that they're not going to just sit down and wait for the competitors to do it first. They take the research, the time, and the risk and say, hey, we've got this figured out. You got to keep up with the times and actually stay ahead of the game. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting here back in the dust. And that's what I feel like has been phenomenal. From the time that I left Waxing the City and came back, I mean, even the technology, it's mind blowing. The fact that we have an AI chatbot, the fact that all the estheticians, our serologists, work completely on an iPad. They are in full control of their own business now. You're not waiting for a studio coordinator to rebook your next appointment, to sign up your memberships, to sell retail. We empower our estheticians to, within our business, have their own business. And that's what I love. And then you add on all the specialty treatments, shout out to Bryght, that have come along and have made it so lucrative for business owners. It's, being a business owner, it's a big risk, right? But when you work with a brand that's always thinking ahead of the game and bringing things to the forefront and available to you, basically, I think of it like I've got a house that I want to build. They've given me a toolbox and they're constantly giving me the best tools where my house is now getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I'll speak to Bryght. Honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you right now, but Bryght is my favorite specialty treatment that we have. And I can say, yes, 100%. I can say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, having dark skin, I have hyperpigmentation. Okay. I've gotten treatments done myself. Game changer. As a teenager, I remember being very insecure that I had darker knees, right? It's fine. We're all beautiful the way we are, but we're all of our own worst critics. I would think like, oh my God, I just wish I had lighter knees. And then I would feel comfortable wearing shorts, right? Well, here I am as an adult. I've got Bryght in my studios. My underarms are lighter, my knees. I don't think about it ever when I wear a skirt or shorts. I can raise my hand, I could do whatever and not think like, oh, my underarms look a little dark. So to have a service like that, we are in the world of instant gratification, right? Between all these filters and everything else, Bryght is truly a service that gives you instant gratification because I saw results within one service. Okay. As a business owner, my return on investment, it didn't cost me very much to get the Bryght system in my studio. It only took me 9 services to pay for the cost. That is not a big deal. You get that done in and out in 1 week or less, right? Anything after that is just money coming in the door. So to be a business owner that I'm working with a franchisor that provides me this type of, we're going to bring you vendors that are going to make you money, 100% Bryght has been that for us. I've done the calculations that if we did nothing more and just did everything as we do it today, how much more money I would make. It's insane. It's honestly insane. And I know like when I met you guys at conference, it was like your first year of launch was 93K in revenue. That's mind blowing. And knowing that I have that in my studio and I see the response and now it's part of our Club Orange membership, those are not fudged numbers. Like everyone can sell a pitch, but these are real numbers. So for as a business owner to have something where waxing is our bread and butter, but now we've been provided with, vendors
Garlic
such as
butter.
yourself.
Garlic butter. You got garlic butter now.
I love that. I love that. You are my garlic butter. Yes. But it's true. Like as a business owner, having this type of brand in my studio, I'm proud of it because number one, It's a service that people want. I love that I was at conference in a different meeting and all I could hear from across the way was anal bleaching, like in chant form. I love everything about that. And I was like, I want to leave this meeting and I want to go over there. But that's my point. You guys are so comfortable talking about the things that people are too shy to talk about or too shy to ask questions, but you make it so normal that it allows me in my business to be like, this is a normal thing to talk about. You want a brighter asshole? Let's talk about that. We can do that for you.
And
No big deal.
that's what's going to bring in the 93 grand
She
a
gets
year.
it. You get it.
Yes.
See?
You
Yes.
get it. And that's just gravy, right? Like that's on top of what you're already doing.
100%. So that's what I'm saying. Like having you guys in the door, I think corporate made such a brilliant decision and I'm super, super excited to be a part of it. I'm one of your consumers. Like I'm the prototype, right? So I believe in it.
I love it because earlier you said that like waxing is what, makes you feel good and it gives you the confidence since you were, young. And then could you imagine being, not to toot like Bright's own horn, but toot toot.
Toot it.
Could you, yeah. Could you imagine like the first time you said when the first time you went to get a wax in the city, you're like, I was so comfortable because at the other place we were going to, you said, I was just so awkward. And I wrote it down. It said you wanted a place that made you feel like okay about who you were. Could you imagine getting like the service done there for the first time and then Bryght added onto that service?
I would have
Just
probably
the
gone to a
customer
nudist
experience.
colony.
It's happy.
I would have gone to a nudist colony. I'd be like, yeah, I can do this too. I can walk around naked and feel fabulous.
Create
For
the
So
sure.
Anna, tell us as we wrap up here, your locations and where people can come visit you and if you have any Instagram handles for those locations.
Yeah, so I've got one location in Oswego, Illinois, one in Lafayette, Louisiana, and one in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Definitely very different markets, but the great thing about that is everybody is hairy. Everybody needs to have time for self-care and everybody wants to feel their best. And no matter where we're located, that's the service we're providing. It's all about self-esteem. It's all about making you feel your best self. And, that is honestly my favorite thing about Waxing the City is that we help our clients feel the best about themselves. Let me give you our social media handles real quick too. So starting with Oswego, we've got Waxing the City _Oswego. And then Lake Charles, which is Louisiana, is just Waxing the City Lake Charles. And then Lafayette, Louisiana is just Waxing the City Lafayette.
Well, you guys, if you're in those areas, go and check them out or look up to see if there's any Waxing the City studios near you. Because Anna is right, the experience. If you've been to competitors, like it's more inviting and comfortable and homely. You hit it so on the head when you just, being provided towels and a moment to undress by yourself when you're already in a vulnerable service. That is, if you've ever been waxed, you know exactly how much those little things make a difference in your comfort as the client experience. And I think your passion when you speak about Waxing the City comes through, and that's rare in business and especially with franchise. So that speaks to Waxing the City as a brand and what they've done, and it comes through when you speak about it. Like you're so proud, and I think it's such a beautiful name that the parent company is called Purpose Brands because it's purposeful, and that comes through in how you speak about it. So I loved learning about your story and how you came in and then you left for a little bit and you came back. Like to come back to something twice and then to do it even bigger the second time with 3 locations, that speaks volumes to the support that you've received as a franchisee.
I super appreciate my time with you guys. It's been phenomenal. Like I said, meeting you in person was the icing on the cake for me. But yes, 3 is where I'm at now, but I plan on having an entire waxing empire.
So amazing. Well, congratulations on all your success so far. I'm excited to see your journey and your story grow. And I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
have you back on our podcast.
I would love nothing more. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.